Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Nerd Chronicles with your host, the Socially Awkward Nerd, Christian Paul speaking. And ladies and gentlemen, one more toolbox that I forgot to add to my data science repertoire is SQL. I've been wanting to really try for some time now, but I was a little bit overwhelmed at first, dealing with the installation, trying to solve which one goes where, and sometimes the instructions may not actually just give you any clarity until you really actually have to dig for it. So I figured, let me actually try and give y'all some game into actually installing how to install MySQL. And then down the line, when it comes to certain tutoring and how-tos, I'll definitely actually do a little bit of play around, see how the codes work. And then we'll definitely play around with MySQL definitely in the near future. But for now, we are going to go straight with the installation. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go into MySQL installer and find the latest one. So we're going to go into the Google search and actually find it to start off here. Just bear with me as I have a little bit of a technical difficulty here. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, finally got my keyboard right. So we're going to type in MySQL installer. Alright. And then we are going to get the download where MySQL Developer Zone is. You want to try and make sure you get yourself signed in through Oracle in order to download it. Without an Oracle ID, it will not work, and you're not going to be able to actually get anything full in regards with that. So we're going to actually take care of that. We're going to get into the bigger one. If you have memory that has a RAM of around 32 gigs worth of RAM, 64 gigs, maybe at least 16, this would be better. But if it's like less than 16 gigs of RAM, the one on the top will be much more feasible for you. You want to try and make sure if you have that stature to use as little memory as possible if you choose to use this, which we're going to actually go through later on in this video. So let's get to downloading, ladies and gentlemen. And let's log in with the Oracle account. So let me go skip to the login, and I'll be back with you once everything's fully downloaded. Give me one quick second. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we got what we need. Now we're going to download the MySQL. That is going to possibly take about maybe a minute or so. And then we're going to get through the installer as we go along, ladies and gentlemen. So it's actually installed and everything here. We have to actually just go follow through the prompt, make sure everything is actually thoroughly downloaded. And the rest will be history once the clock hits 0 with the downloading. So let me actually just go through that real quick. All right. And then we're going to go and let everything roam. Install that bad boy. And it's getting everything loaded. Okay. Now this is the fun part. Now I got information, got everything mainly set. And then they want everything launched again. And now they got internet connection going down. Now we want to deal with the server, client, all that stuff. We're going to go full. We are definitely going to go full here. And now we are going to go everything here. And we're going to click on execute to make sure everything is thoroughly installed. Server, workbench, cell, router. Everything is loading as it should. While we go watch some good old football here. I don't want to try and just come through with, because I'm just watching a little bit of Bears and Packers. I don't want to try and get too much into the game. Otherwise, it'll get you in a copyright infringement out of respect. So I don't want to try and record the game too much. But you guys are actually seeing here how everything is working in real time. And once everything is resolved, I will get back to you in a bit. All right, so we have completely fully installed everything. Now we're going to get everything set. And if we show the details, we have all the applications. We don't have to really go through all that. Let's go click on next. And now they got everything that's definitely configured. And we are going to make sure everything is fully done. So they're going to walk through configuration to make sure everything's thoroughly in. So we're going to start with the server. And then they want to configure it to a development computer. And minimum amounts of memory going to be used by the SQL. Because my computer has 32 gigs of RAM, we'll make sure we have a good database server to actually mainly run and all of that in regards with this, and they'll make use of all the available mandates there. That's what we're gonna make it dedicated. If this was like a value computer or just some regular smart computer that's like 8 gigs worth of RAM, then we would use this isn't like a development computer per se. So now we can show advanced and logging options, and we click on next, and then we'll just use a strong password that we mainly have. So we'll get that set up. I'm going to go skip to the password for privacy reasons. So let's mainly get through this whole ordeal here. So now that's basically resolved, we are going to have everything configured. Let me just mute this. Sorry about that, guys. We get everything mainly handled as configured, and we do so here. And we grant full access here. Logging options, we don't really need the logs and all this other nonsense. Get that out the way. And we make sure we get this guy here that we know of for sure. Get that in there, lowercase. And we apply configuration, execute. And everything is going to be fully set as we know it. So it's going to take a little bit of a while. Bear with me. Now let's finish up the installation. And then we go to the router to configure. And we don't really need the bootstrap. That one is done. I configured the other guy there. And we have a standalone server here. And let me deal with the password real quick. Everything's successful. Now let's apply it. And then execute. And we are good to go, ladies and gentlemen. Now everything is fully done. We get everything complete. We are good to go. Get the login clipboard and we start it up. And we have the shell coming in. And now we need to get the workboard installed to make sure that they are in as well. So the workbench is fully set. And they have the local instance on how they get everything set up for sure. So let me make sure we get things going up here. Let's get the password real quick. Now we have our user privileges, and now we have our queries where we actually do some good code. This is going to be some very fun times on how we're going to make this work. So expect me to actually play around with this in the immediate future, both in this screen as well as my laptop as well, so we get all this stuff mainly going. So Chris and Paul from the Nerd Chronicles is signing out. Deuces.